Redefining trauma, the silent struggle of Black women. I'm not traumatized. Four words that echo through our community like a battle cry of strength. But what if that declaration itself is evidence of our deepest wounds? What if our collective refusal to acknowledge trauma is actually keeping us from our most powerful selves? Today, I want to share the revolutionary insights I gained from my conversation with Mia Smith Fuller, a brilliant life coach specializing in trauma and grief work. Mia isn't just changing lives, she's igniting a profound transformation in how Black women understand their experiences, their pain, and their power. Her work stands as a beacon for those navigating the complex intersection of racial identity, gender, and achievement, offering not just healing, but a radical reimagining of what strength truly means. The truth that Mia so eloquently articulated is this: trauma isn't limited to the catastrophic events that make headlines. It lives in the everyday losses we normalize: the parent who passed away, the job that disappeared overnight, the constant lies and microaggressions we're told to brush off, the expectations to perform excellence while carrying invisible burdens. For too many high achieving Black women, trauma hides in plain sight, masquerading as just how life is. We've been conditioned to believe that acknowledgement equals weakness, that naming our pain somehow diminishes our power. But Mia's revolutionary framework turns this thinking on its head. Here's what makes her work so transformative: she's helping us see that acknowledging trauma isn't weakness, it is the first step toward authentic power. When we recognize the hidden blockages created by unprocessed experiences, we unlock pathways to success that don't require burning ourselves to the ground. Let me share three profound truths from my conversation with Mia that could transform how you understand your own journey. First, trauma has a much broader definition than most of us recognize. It's not just about catastrophic events, but includes losses, transitions, and ongoing stressors that many of us normalize in our daily lives. The promotion you didn't get, the relationship that ended abruptly, the constant code switching that exhausts your spirit, the times you were overlooked despite your qualifications, the moments your voice was silenced in meetings. These experiences accumulate in our bodies and minds, creating patterns that limit our fullest expression. Second, recognizing hidden blockages is the essential first step to healing. Many of us are operating with trauma responses without even realizing it, affecting our relationships, careers, and self perception. That perfectionism you pride yourself on, that inability to delegate, that constant feeling that you must overperform to be seen, that fear of saying no, that tendency to work yourself to exhaustion, these might be trauma responses masquerading as professional strengths. Third, healing requires both education and community support. Understanding trauma is essential for Black women who have historically been expected to push through without acknowledging pain. We need spaces where our experiences are validated, where our healing is prioritized, and where our wholeness is celebrated. Isolation compounds trauma. Connection facilitates healing. Let me bring these insights to life through the stories of three remarkable women whose journeys illuminate the hidden nature of trauma in our lives. Consider Tasha, a 38-year-old executive who consistently worked 70-hour weeks and prided herself on never missing a deadline despite the personal costs. On paper, Tasha was the definition of success: respected in her field, financially secure, climbing the corporate ladder with apparent ease. But beneath the surface, Tasha was struggling. She experienced panic attacks in bathroom stalls between meetings. Insomnia kept her staring at the ceiling most nights. Her relationships were strained as she canceled plans last minute to handle just one more thing at work. Her health was deteriorating: high blood pressure, weight gain, constant exhaustion. But she dismissed these as just stress, the inevitable price of success. It wasn't until she collapsed during a presentation that she was forced to confront a deeper truth. Through collective healing space with other Black women executives, Tasha discovered something profound. Her work patterns weren't just ambition, they were trauma responses to childhood economic insecurity and fear of failure. Growing up watching her single mother work multiple jobs and still struggle financially created a deep seated belief that rest equals failure. By recognizing her burnout as trauma related, Tasha implemented boundaries, sought therapy, and created a sustainable work rhythm without sacrificing success. In fact, her department's productivity actually increased as she modeled healthier work patterns, challenging the grind culture narrative in her organization. Tasha not only maintained her executive position while reducing her hours, but also created a mentorship program for young Black women in her company focused on sustainable success. Her story shows us that acknowledging trauma doesn't diminish our power, it transforms it. Then there's Maya, a 42-year-old entrepreneur who lost her father but immediately returned to running her business without taking time to process. As the first entrepreneur in her family, Maya felt immense pressure to keep going, regardless of personal circumstances, viewing any pause as letting down her family legacy. The consequences were severe. Maya experienced declining business performance, relationship conflicts, and physical symptoms, including chronic migraines and digestive issues. Her body was speaking what her words couldn't. Unprocessed grief is trauma. Joining a grief support circle specifically for Black women entrepreneurs helped Maya recognize that her unprocessed grief was affecting every area of her life. By acknowledging her loss as legitimate trauma, Maya developed grief rituals, adjusted her business operations temporarily, and experienced improved health and business growth. Most remarkably, Maya created a revolutionary sick leave and bereavement policy for her team that acknowledged the impact of grief, setting a new standard in her industry. Her business became known for its humane approach to work life integration, attracting top talent and client loyalty while challenging industry norms. Maya's journey teaches us that when we honor our grief as legitimate, we create space not just for healing, but for innovation that serves others. Finally, there's Kendra, a 35-year-old creative director who experienced persistent microaggressions and gaslighting in her workplace. Despite professional success, Kendra developed anxiety, trust issues, and creative blocks that she attributed to imposter syndrome rather than recognizing the traumatic impact of her work environment. Years of being the only one in predominantly white creative spaces had normalized mistreatment to the point that Kendra didn't recognize its cumulative traumatic effect. Through a wellness collective for Black women in creative fields, Kendra learned to identify relational trauma and develop strategies to protect her mental health. The transformation was profound. Kendra set clear boundaries, built a support network of other Black creatives, and eventually founded her own agency with trauma informed leadership practices. Her agency now specializes in trauma informed creative work, particularly for marginalized communities, and has won awards for both creative excellence and workplace culture. Kendra's framework for identifying workplace trauma has been adopted by several major creative agencies and featured in industry publications. Her story reminds us that what we often dismiss as just part of being a Black woman in the workplace may actually be trauma that deserves acknowledgement and healing. These stories illuminate a powerful truth that Mia Smith Fuller emphasizes in her work. When we expand our understanding of trauma, we create space for more authentic success. Imagine the ripple effects if more Black women in organizations adopted this broader understanding of trauma. We'd see a revolutionary shift in how we approach success and well being. The persistent myth that strength means pushing through pain without acknowledgement has cost our community dearly in physical health, mental well being, and sustainable achievement. Organizations will develop more humane policies that recognize life transitions as significant events requiring support. Black women will feel permission to heal rather than hide their struggles. We'd see innovations in leadership that value sustainability over sacrifice, creating pathways for success that don't require burning ourselves out. As the African proverb reminds us, if you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, go together. Our healing journey requires community, spaces where our experiences are validated and our wholeness is celebrated. In the words of Audre Lorde, caring for myself is not self indulgence, it is self preservation. And that is an act of political warfare. Recognizing our trauma is the first step in that radical self care. I stand before you today not just to share information, but to issue a challenge, a call to revolution. Because make no mistake, this is revolutionary work in a world that profits from our burnout, that feeds on our silence, that demands our exhaustion as proof of our worth. Choosing to acknowledge our trauma and prioritize our healing is an act of rebellion. So I challenge you today. What experiences have you dismissed that might actually be unprocessed trauma? What pain have you normalized that deserves to be named? What strength have you been performing at the cost of your wholeness? This isn't about labeling yourself as damaged, but about honoring your full humanity and giving yourself permission to heal from experiences that have shaped you. It's about recognizing that your worth isn't tied to your productivity. Your value isn't measured by your capacity to endure pain silently, and your power isn't diminished by acknowledging your wounds. Take one deliberate step this week toward this revolutionary self knowledge. Perhaps journal about a loss you never fully grieved. Have a conversation with a trusted friend about workplace stress. Research trauma informed therapists who understand our unique experiences as Black women. Join a community where your experiences are validated and your healing is prioritized. Remember this affirmation that Mia shared: my healing is not selfish, it's necessary. My boundaries are not limitations, they're protection. My rest is not laziness, it's restoration. Because a healed Black woman isn't just powerful, she's unstoppable. In a community of healed Black women, that's a revolution waiting to happen. So let's start today. Let's name our traumas. Let's honor our healing. Let's create communities that validate our experiences, and let's redefine strength not as the ability to endure pain silently, but as the courage to acknowledge it, heal from it, and transform it into power that serves not just ourselves, but generations to come. The world is waiting for your authentic power. The revolution begins with your healing, and it starts right now.